All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack a pretty complex economic idea, hoarding, using a really simple story. Think of it as a little fable with a monkey, a bunch of bananas, and just a little bit of market mischief. So let's set the scene. Our story begins in what seems like a perfect little world, centered on our main character and, well, his favorite food. So picture this. We've got a monkey. And for this monkey, life is pretty simple. His whole world really revolves around one thing. He's got a great routine going. It's predictable, it's satisfying, and you know what? Life is peaceful. Get up, go to the market, buy a banana, eat the banana. Simple as that. Everything is just how it should be. The market's always stocked, the bananas are always delicious, and our monkey couldn't be happier. Yep, life is good. But then one day, poof, the routine is broken. He shows up to the market, same as always, but something is very, very wrong. The banana stall is totally empty. And just like that, his whole world gets turned upside down. And he's just confused, you know? He's thinking, wait a minute, they were right here yesterday. The trees didn't stop growing bananas overnight. So what on earth happened? And that's when the seller drops a bombshell. The bananas aren't gone. They haven't disappeared. They're right there. They're just being hidden away on purpose. And this is where our little story gives a name to what's going on. This whole hiding the bananas thing, it's not just a random act of mischief, it's a very specific economic strategy. Now, this is so important to get. Hoarding isn't a supply problem. It's not that there aren't enough bananas to go around. Oh no. The bananas are plentiful. This is an access problem, and it's being created on purpose to manipulate the market. Okay, so you gotta be asking why. Why would one monkey do this to all the other monkeys? Is it just pure greed? Or is there something bigger at play here, in the system itself? Well, it really boils down to three main reasons. First up, the most obvious one, to jack up the prices. It's that classic supply and demand trick, right? You hide the supply, create a fake shortage, and bam, the price goes through the roof. The second reason, to create sheer panic. You start a rumor that bananas are running out, and what happens? Everyone rushes to buy way more than they need. That creates a real shortage, which only helps the original hoarders. And finally, sometimes it's just a raw show of power. If you can control the entire banana supply, you call all the shots. You decide who gets to eat and when, just to show that you can. Yeah, so this isn't just about one monkey missing his breakfast. This kind of behavior sends ripples, big ones, through the entire community, and the consequences can be pretty serious. And you can see how it just spirals out of control, right? Prices shoot up. Suddenly the poorer monkeys, they can't afford a single banana. The rich monkey, who's hoarding everything, he just gets richer. But maybe worst of all, trust in the whole system is just broken. And that leads to widespread panic, which, you guessed it, just feeds the whole crazy cycle all over again. All right, so all of this sounds pretty bad, but it does bring up a really interesting question. Is stockpiling stuff always a bad thing? Let's dig into that line. Where's the difference between malicious, market-wrecking hoarding and just, smart, responsible planning for the future? And this slide lays it out perfectly. It all boils down to one word: intent. Are you preparing for a real, known future need, like storing extra food for winter, or stocking up on supplies before a big storm? That's just smart stockpiling. That's a defensive move. But malicious hoarding, that's an offensive move. You are deliberately creating a problem for everybody else so you can profit from it. It's a totally different ballgame.
Okay, so we've seen how this all works. What does this mean for us, the everyday monkeys just trying to get by? How are we supposed to react when we think hoarding might be happening?
Well, here's some really solid advice. The number one rule: don't panic. Seriously, panic buying is a hoarder's best friend. Just buy what you actually need. Also, be a smart consumer. Look at real data, not just some crazy rumor you hear. And finally, you gotta keep this in the back of your mind. Not every single price hike is some evil hoarding scheme. But at the same time, not every shortage is a simple accident either. You gotta stay sharp. And that really leaves us with the big idea, the one thing to take away from all this. It's this quote right here. If there are no bananas, the problem is nature. If there are bananas but they aren't being sold, the problem is the monkey. So, the next time you see an empty shelf, just ask yourself, is the product really gone, or is it just hiding? Is this a problem of nature, or is it a problem of the monkey?